I want you, baby, baby.
Night after night, I need your love.
Come on, give me your love, baby. Oh,
I
yeah.
miss that
Oh, yeah, the vibes are
song.
back.
I miss
The
that
vibes
song.
are, yeah, honestly, I forgot that was the opening song. When he dropped the beat, I was like, ooh, this is, I had to put the headphones all the way back on. Vibes.
That is a vibe.
What's going on, beautiful people? We're back in the building, man. How does it feel? What have we been doing? What's going on?
Yeah, literally, where have we been?
Where have we been? I guess for people who follow us on the other platforms, they're like, yeah, we see enough of y'all. But I guess seeing us in this kind of space, having open conversation, transparent conversations, is a little bit different. But yeah, we're back. We're back.
Yeah, it feels good to have a mic and headphones and sitting on our couch together.
Yeah, I got the toes out. What'd you call these?
These are black excellent toes.
The
right
black
here.
excellent toes. That's crazy. Never heard of that before. But I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Is this in the?
Oh gosh.
These things are glistening right now. Like they look fantastic. I can't even hold you.
So yeah, we've been at the nail salon together.
Yeah, and men, for men who get their toes done, shout out to y'all, man. Don't walk around with them dusty, crusty toes, okay?
Crusty.
Get them toes done, okay? There's nothing more elegant than you getting your feet rubbed, right?
I don't rub your feet though.
I didn't say you. I'm just talking about in general. I don't know where this is going. This is a great start to this episode, but I'm not mad that we're here. So hey, listen, we're back. It's a pleasure to be here. It's been a couple months now. I don't know. I think our last episode came out in November or something like that. So it's probably been
before
about
that. I don't
before
even
that. So
know.
it's been like 7 months or so now since our last episode. But we're back, and it's a pleasure to be here because God, things don't happen on accident. God always has a purpose. He always has a plan. There's always a plan in his delay, and there's also a plan in his timing. And I feel like we're in the right place at the right time. So
yeah, that was we did a sticker poll. Is that what it's called? On Instagram.
we can call it. That's what it's called now.
Sticker poll to see what questions we can answer on this podcast. So that's what you were going to do. And literally almost half the questions were like, where have y'all been?
Some of them weren't even questions. They were just like, it's about time.
It's about time.
It's about time.
Which I love to see. I love to see that this podcast is resonating well with our audience. But yeah, where have we been? What have we been doing? And why so long?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna let you just jump into it that quick because I actually do have a question for you.
Oh, I thought that was the question.
No, I have a question for you because as I was preparing for this episode, I was kind of thinking like, hey, it's been 7 months since we've done this. And obviously there's a lot of growth that has taken place in the last 7 months, I hope. I mean, I can speak for you. I don't know about myself, but you've grown a lot in the last 7 months. Yes, you have. So I was thinking and I was curious as to like, what do you feel like God has been teaching you or something that you've learned over the past 7 months that you feel like has really like resonated with you, stood out to you, that you can share with the people?
Well, I will say that during this season of us actually being off the podcast, where God has been growing me is redeeming my time. I think that's been the biggest point of reflection for me where I get caught up in all the things. One, I'm an overstimulated mom, and two, we're entrepreneurs. We're working for ourselves, and three, we're like pouring out into different ministries. And so I felt like if I am putting all of these gifts that He has given us above Him, then how much more will I fall? You know, what I'm saying is like, I want to stay closer to Him. I want to draw nearer to Him. So how can I do that? And so often as like mom and working, all the things, you kind of just like have an excuse where you're just like, well, I have so much to do. Like, well, God gave me these children, I have to raise them, or I have a husband that I have to tend to, or I have this job that I have to go to. But there are so many pockets in our life where we can be redeeming our time that I felt like I really had to audit in my life. There's so much time where I'm using it on things that I don't need to use it on. Like I can open my Bible all throughout the day. It doesn't have to be first thing in the morning or when the kids go to sleep. I can be praying literally anytime throughout the day. It doesn't have to be quiet. I can just pull out a little prayer amongst a tantrum. Like there's just been so much time to be redeemed. And I think that that's why in this society, we're all kind of programmed to be like entertained all the time. Like our phones are pure entertainment, nonstop entertainment. So that's why we're always like glued like this. But I just realized that there's like so many moments where I pull up my phone to be entertained, and that's time where I can be redeeming it with the Lord. And how much more do I need to give to him? I need to be more obedient. I need to sacrifice more, which requires me to like lay down more, die to self more. So I found myself like, I'm actually surprisingly not on social media a lot. Like I am not scrolling. You send me things that's like trending and I'm like, that's so funny. And you're like, it's like 2 months old or whatever. I'm really bad at that. But I think as my job, I feel like I'm already doing too much on social media. So I need to like reserve that time of scrolling for something else. But where I do find myself falling is scrolling elsewhere, like shopping, home stuff, Pinterest. Those are my woes. So
I can tell by the statements that you get from the bank. I'm like, what? When did
shopping,
we spend this money?
And so like in this past season where I knew I was going to be so busy with work, because Q4 is our busiest season, I knew I was going to be so busy that I had to find pockets to redeem my time with him so that I can show him that he means more to me than all the things here that he has given me. So that's kind of like what I've been processing lately.
I love that. And something you said that is something that I've been working on over this past season as well was finding moments in between the moments. So I know you said like we could literally be reading our Bible. Every time we pick up our phone, instead of picking up our phone for entertainment, we could be picking up our Bible to edify ourselves so that we could gain wisdom, gain understanding, gain knowledge, getting some kind of tools and resources that we can put inside of us, so that way when we step outside in the world, the things that come out of us are things that are edifying to God, right? And one of the things, the word that has really resonated with me over this last season was the word statio. So I've learned this from, it's called being a modern day monk. And it was something that Pastor Bennett sent me. Shout out to Pastor Bennett. And it was teaching us how to find moments in between the moments. So all the time, we get so caught up in life, whether it's, taking the kids to school, or it's making them breakfast, or preparing their lunches, or it's work, or it's things around the house. Like there's so much going on where we get caught up in those moments. We're not necessarily thinking about God, right? And that's understandable. Like it's okay. Like we're human, we do get distracted. But then like when that moment is over, what are you doing? So that's the moment of peace where you can say, oh, thank you, God, for helping me take these kids to school without throwing a fit because they were having a tantrum the whole time. Or thank you, God, that I got to the school safely. So it's like having that moment with God after the moment in between the moment, the statio moment, where you're like giving God the glory, the honor, and the praise for him getting you through whatever you just went through.
Yeah, and it could be so small.
Yeah, so small.
The smallest things. And I think that just shows your intimacy with God when you can notice those things, that they're all gifts. Like, God could give us bland bread to eat daily. Like he could take away all the colors in the world and we all live in like white. And he gives us all these things that bring us joy that we forget about. Like those tacos last night, so good.
And
so good.
And then you got to sleep next to me last night. So good.
So good.
So good.
Whoa. And so I think that that's what we forget is like, I feel like we bow down, we are face on the floor when we go through trials, but how much can we still do that when we are just going through our day-to-day and just like the routine is a blessing.
Yeah.
The boredom is a blessing. The sitting with family and like hearing a laugh is a blessing. So I feel like just for us to like bring that back up to him, glorify him in those little moments, that's big. That's like more intimate that I feel like he would appreciate.
Yeah, and we take for granted the seasons that we're in, right? Because a lot of times we're in the season that we prayed for, and we don't realize that this is the season that we prayed to be in, but now the season that we're in, we're looking at it as if it's like a curse.
Yeah.
As if it's something that we didn't pray for months ago. It's like, oh my gosh, these kids are getting on my nerves. It's like, well, you prayed for them kids.
I know.
You was going crazy when you didn't have kids, and now you have the kids, and now you tripping about the kids. It's like being thankful for those types of things that they're so mundane to us now because they're always around, and it's like, oh my gosh, like I wish I could go without it. But it's like, no, this is exactly where you're supposed to be in this season. And it's something that you begged and got on your knees and you cried and you prayed for. And now God brought that to fruition. And now it's something that you should be giving back to God and saying, thank you so much for this blessing. And now I'm ready to give it back to you, and that opens the door and opens opportunity for more blessings. But it's just being thankful for the season that you're in and being thankful for the blessings that you currently have.
I think more off topic of our questions, but one thing that you pointed.
It's been a while, girl. We got a lot to talk about. Okay.
Clearly.
Okay.
But one of the things that you taught me that really helped me is that in those seasons where I feel super stretched, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to tip, you told me that I should pray for the capacity to do these things, because oh my gosh, like we truly are pushing ourselves in more ways than I could imagine our lives being like. And instead of being like, oh God, take this away, or oh God, like make this more fruitful so that I can drop this off or something, instead like praying for the capacity to do all the things that God has blessed us and we're capable of doing. So we are all capable of doing these things, but we just need to have the power of the Holy Spirit to like strengthen us. And that's where we can find the source of power, not through our own flesh and blood.
That's good. That's good. It kind of makes me think about, because I felt convicted recently because I feel like we've been doing a lot, and we get to a point where we start to get overwhelmed, and we start to feel like we're being stretched too much, and we're like, man, we need a break. You know, like maybe we should pull back from some of these things that we're doing. But it made me think of, I don't know if you guys have seen this this meme or whatever, but it's the two guys that are underground and they're digging for the diamond, and there's one guy who's like really close to the diamond, and he's digging, but he's like, man, I'm tired, there's no diamond here, and he turns around and goes back. And then there's the other guy who continues to dig and goes past that little threshold where the other guy stopped and gets to the diamond, right? Yeah. And I feel like it's a picture of kind of what we're going through, where we're like, man, we're running, I feel like we're running into a wall, and I feel like we're just like, we're doing too much, and we're so tired and we're exhausted, and we're just like, you know what, maybe it's time to step back. But I feel like sometimes it could be the devil or the evil one. It's not. We love blaming things on the devil. It's not always the devil, but yeah, there are some spiritual attacks that are telling us, hey, like, yeah, you need to chill.
Yeah.
Or hey, yeah, you know what? Go take a vacation.
Enough.
Yeah, kick your feet up.
Enough.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah. They don't need you to keep running that marriage group, or they don't need you to preach on that Sunday. Like, but that is something that we listen to far too often, and we're like, yeah, you know what, you're right. But that one extra step that we can take, or that we could take, can be someone's deliverance. It could be that one step is, you know, being able to reach that person that needed to hear the word, that needed to hear the gospel, and their lives can be changed just based on us pushing through some of those difficult times. Yeah. So
I think it's just also showing God that, you know, we can do all the things for him
through Christ who strengthens us,
all the hard things. And so for us to just be able to surrender that exhaustion for him, that's gonna bring him glory.
Yeah, and when you push through and you finally push through the point of exhaustion and you get over the hill, you're like, that wasn't that bad. You know, if I would have just went a little bit further, that actually wasn't that bad. But I think a lot of times we try to use our own strength in those situations where instead of leaning on God, who gives us the ultimate strength, who is the Almighty, who's the all-powerful one, who's our creator, who fills us when we're empty, that's when we need to lean in the most, when we're feeling that exhaustion and we're feeling overwhelmed, and letting him lead us and guide us through those hard times. So I think that's something that we fail to do a lot of the times, but if we do apply that more in our lives, that's when we'll start to see revival.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So that was not what this conversation is supposed to be about, but the Holy Spirit was doing something right there, and we just had to let the Holy Spirit lead. But I think that this is a great conversation because that is one of the questions. People want to know what we've been doing over these last 7-8 months. I don't know. We need to confirm how long it's been, but I guess who really cares? But over that time, a lot of it has been some spiritual maturity that's been taking place within us. And I'm not saying that we've grown to the point where we're at the top of the hill, but there's been growth in our spiritual maturity and our relationship with God. And that's a lot of what we've been trying to cultivate over the last couple of months. That's been helping us get to the point where we are now. So that's what we've been doing. Okay.
Yeah.
And for those of you, we didn't even give a formal intro. The people don't even know what we do here. I know.
Who are we?
Who are we? What do we do? What is this podcast about? What is this, babe? What are we doing here?
Oh man. Well, we we're Dana and Matthew Harvey
that's
from
us.
Home of the Harveys. You'll
Hey.
find us on all the platforms. We just do a bunch of lifestyle content that share our day-to-day parenting, marriage, relationships, sometimes travel, but most of all, our relationship with God. And so how we are applying that in each area of our life.
I love it. It doesn't get any better than that.
And so
Sounds
that's
like
kind of
you
what we talk about. I feel
checked
like
all the
on social
boxes.
media, we show it,
Mm-hmm.
and on the podcast, we talk about it.
There we go. Okay. Because it's hard to really talk about all of that within a minute and 30-second clip. I think they make it a little bit longer now, right? The reels are like 3 minutes now.
Yeah,
Who knows? But it's
no
really
one's
hard to
listening
get.
to
We've
this.
already been talking for probably 20 minutes now. So yeah, the algorithm doesn't like that. They like the short and sweet stuff that captures people's attention. But that's who we are, and we're blessed to be able to be a blessing. So this is just another platform that we're able to utilize to share God's word and share who we are and how He's impacted our lives, the highs, the lows, the celebrations, the trials, all of it.
Yeah.
That takes place in our lives that we're able to kind of share with you guys now and show you how we come through. And, we're not perfect, we still fall, but that's a part of our testimony, being able to fall, but, getting back up is what it's all about. So we're here to share that with you guys, and we hope you guys enjoy it. And we're going to go ahead and dive into some of the questions that you guys have been asking us on our Instagram. As Dana said, we put up a sticker post to ask what you guys want to hear and what you guys want to know. And one of the questions that was asked is, and I guess we answered that one. What took y'all so long? Do you want to get into that more?
We did so many things. Like Q4 for us is our busiest season. And then Q1 this year, just by the grace of God, was also super busy work-wise. And so we were really blessed for that to happen. But at the same time, we definitely had to pull back on something so that we weren't using up all of our time. Like the whole thing about like redeeming time. I knew that we needed to pull back on something so that we can work, but also have like a very healthy balance at home and have our time with the Lord. But there was so much stuff going on. We potty trained Simi. We traveled. Were we home? We weren't even home for Christmas. Like we were all over, and it felt very much like go, go, go. But I will say during that time, we drew closer to the Lord.
Yeah.
We did not let the gift go above the giver this time, because that's what happened in previous years where we just get so overwhelmed and we're not using the strength because we're not close to Him. And then I just got like I had like a panic attack like 2 years ago because of how much work we were doing and like how little time I was giving to the Lord. But besides that, we really had to pull back on something, and the podcast was one of those things.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Unfortunately. But as I said, everything happens in God's timing. I did hear something the other day that was very interesting, and it made me think about some of the things that we're doing and making sure that we're giving it all to God and making sure that we're doing the right things during the right season. And it was, if the devil can't get you to, and here we go blaming the devil again. If the devil can't get you to stop, then he'll get you to speed up. Right. So it's like, oh, okay. If you're stopping if you won't stop serving, or if you won't stop in your ministry, or if you won't stop in your calling, then I'm going to give you all the other things that are going to distract you from doing what you're actually supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that's necessarily what we were doing, because I still think that in all of the busyness that was taking place, we were still putting God in the center of it. And I think that's what allowed us to have the strength and the energy and the perseverance to handle all of that during that season. So,
and then also we lead a marriage group with our church, and it split in two because it was so big and just continues to grow. And so that's something that we committed to a long time ago. Like we've been doing it for like 2-3 years now. And so we needed to make sure that we were also preparing ourselves for that and not just being like too caught up in all of this that we couldn't pour into them. So that's lots of big things happening.
Yeah. And our marriage group is on break right now. We have an off season. So now
we
you
can
guys,
pour into you.
you guys are our marriage group right now. Okay. So it's just funny how God works. And it's all a blessing. So when the next question someone had for us was in this season, let me say in our careers, the way social media is typically set up and the way people see Instagram and Facebook and TikToks, it always looks like these relationships around them are like so perfect, right? So I don't know if that's what we come off as, because I feel like we do have some vulnerable moments. But I mean, a lot of times are like, hey, you may have an ad, and the ad, they like want you to smile, and they want you to hold the product, and they want you to hug, and they want you to kiss, and they want to make sure that everything looks perfect. But people are like, yo, this looks real good. But like, do you guys ever argue?
That's the question.
That was the question. The question is, do you guys ever argue?
Oh my Lord, do we argue? No.
I think we argued last night. What do you mean? Yo, the devil has some. I'm blaming the devil for everything today. He works in some very interesting ways, because anytime we're supposed to do something together, I feel like there's always something that comes up that we start to like butt heads about in some shape or form. Like if we have to do a podcast, or night before a podcast, or night before the marriage group, or speaking engagement, whatever it is, it's like there's something that comes up that's just like, see, y'all shouldn't be working together anyways. Y'all shouldn't be doing this. Like, and that's always the temptation of the evil one to say, hey, y'all, just don't do it. Cancel it. So do we argue? Yes, we do argue.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't, for people who say they don't argue in their marriage, that's straight cap.
Well, no,
you like that, Pia? I use cap. You heard me use cap?
It could be that they don't
okay,
argue.
I'm young. No,
but I don't think that that's a sign of a healthy relationship.
I think your marriage is unhealthy if you don't argue. Okay.
I don't want to say it, but I think, because the design of marriage itself was created for God and for the glory of God. So whenever you're dealing with that, you're going to be dealing with sanctification. So if you're not sanctifying each other, which is going to cause some strife, which is going to cause some arguments, which is going to cause some conflict, then are you even sanctifying yourselves in your marriage? And that's what it's designed for. So I feel like we butt heads, and we argue, but we do it in a way where we're fighting for our marriage. So the things that we bring up are to better each other, to like work a process out where we're going to move forward or do better in the future. It's never just fight to win, fight to keep score. You know what I mean? We're definitely trying so hard to make sure that what battles we do choose to fight, that it's to glorify the Lord and help each other in the sanctification process.
I'm gonna read some Bible. I was gonna tell Pia to get my Bible, but I'm gonna pull up my electronic Bible. If y'all doing electronic Bibles, shout out to y'all. Either as long as y'all reading this thing, y'all straight with me. So James 4, it says, "What causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? You desire, but you do not have, so you kill. You covet, but you cannot get what you want, so you quarrel and fight. You do not have because you do not ask God. When you ask, you do not receive, because you ask with a wrong motive, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. You adulterous people, don't you know that friendship with the world means enmity against God? Therefore, anyone who chooses to be a friend of the world becomes an enemy of God." So what this is simply saying is saying that we just need to talk. If you can talk through a lot of your issues, they can be resolved. Like, you're going to have issues in life. We're humans. Humans have their specific desires and their differences as well. And I think through those differences, there has to be conversations that take place that help you guys grow and develop. And God sends your spouse in your life to help you with your process of sanctification. So one thing that I've been trying to do, and I'm still working on it, Lord help me, and I'm sorry, babe, I know it's been a little bit of a struggle, but I used to be very defensive when we first got married, and that's something that I started to step back on a lot. Even though I still have a little bit of defensiveness inside me that I'm working on, I have to start looking at the way that we have those conversations in a way that God is using you in order to communicate with me in some areas that He's trying to prune. There's still some areas in my life that God needs me to work through in order for me to be able to walk into the next season of life that He has for me. So if there's one person in your life that's going to do that, it's going to be your spouse.
Yeah.
So when you guys are having those type of conversations where it kind of rubs you the wrong way and you're feeling some type of way because you felt like you were doing things the right way, like, we need to approach those conversations with a more open mind, open heart, good soil, so that those seeds that are being planted within you can grow, and then they can have a good harvest in the turnaround. So
yeah.
yeah.
I think as a debater, since
master
debater for so many years. I do have this like wired in my head where I'm like, I have to like one up you sometimes, where I'm just like, well, okay, I hear you, but you know, my point is more valid. And I think that that's one of the things that most Christian couples can relate to, is just knowing that that's not the goal, is that you got to die to yourself. Like, you want to pick that battle, but like first die to yourself. First, like audit your body. Like, why do you feel that way? Why, when you do XYZ, why does it make me feel that way? I need to like look back and internally see. So like there's like some things I'll bring up an example, like maybe you didn't edit something the way it was supposed to be edited, turned it in, and we have all these edits to do now. And instead of me getting like, I'm upset with you, obviously. I'm like mad. I'm like, oh, I want to fight because like I do it better, you know.
Feeling it.
You know, and instead I like look internally. I'm like, why do I feel that way? And I can dig deeper and figure out a reason that why God's using this situation to sanctify me. Like, he's pulling something out of me, even though you made a mistake, and you're going to learn something else from that in your own timing. But for me, for my anger to rise up at your stumble, what is that teaching me? Like, what is that pulling out of me? And it's most of the time it's pride. I'm like, oh, I'm prideful because that's like, I feel like it's my work. But it's our work. We're doing it together. And so like in seasons of times where I'm just like, why am I so angry with you? Like, why am I so upset with you? There's something internally that God wants to fix in me too. So it's both sides of sanctification. So if we can just like rewire our brains to think like, first me, like first, what is wrong with me? Like, why am I feeling that way? Why do these feelings bring up? And go deeper than just like, oh, he did something wrong and that pissed me off. Like, go deeper. And that will help you truly choose battles that don't need to be like, you can just weed out some of the arguments and not be that like harsh critic that your spouse is married to. Because who wants to be married to that? Because sure. I was and still am a very critical person. And I think that a lot of arguments stem from my critical heart. And that's something that, you know, I will continuously trying to like be redeemed from, pruned from. And so I think if we can just focus on ourselves in our relationship and not focus on ourselves, that's like the wrong way to say it, but like audit our feelings of anger when these situations arise so that we can choose to argue in a healthier way.
Yeah, I'm one more Bible verse before, because I feel like this is good, because even though we're talking about arguing, like it's not just about arguing, but it's about arguing well, right? And the Bible gives us a lot of context on how to argue well. And in Colossians 3:12, it says, "Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you." Oh, I'm going to keep going because this next one's good too. "And overall, these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Let the peace of Christ rule over your hearts, since as members of one body, you are called to peace, and be thankful." Okay, can I get an amen?
Amen.
All right, cool. So there's a lot of context in the Bible that teaches us about how to argue well, and I think that's a process. It takes time, you know, because in our fleshly ways, we want to argue and we want to win the argument,
Right.
but it's not always about winning the argument. It's about receiving what God wants you to get out of that argument, or what do people call it instead of arguing? They say strong disagreements.
In our marriage group, some of the couples call it this like heated. Is it heated?
Sure, we can go with that.
Conversations.
We'll call, we'll workshop it. But yeah, just making sure that you go into those conversations with an open heart and be ready to receive whatever God has for you. So
yeah, anyway,
I think that's good. So yeah.
So do you guys ever argue? Yes.
All the time. So next question was, do our kids argue? Are we going to go to that next? Did I miss a question? I feel like there should have been another. Oh, there was one right here. It says, "Does the sex ever get boring?" Is that the next question you had? Does the sex ever get boring? How do you keep the spice going?
Okay.
Sex is never boring with you, babe. Sex with you is like when I wake up in the morning and the smell of fresh coffee's on the. I think that was a Marcus Houston song, but.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I'm hearing
Sex
it now.
with you is really the best with you.
This is in his secular
it's
days,
like
y'all.
love. It's coming to- Ain't nobody got a body like you.
Wow.
Sex with you. Come on now. Hey, come on now, somebody. Yeah, y'all ain't know. If you don't know, now you know. Okay. Oh, sorry. You can answer the question. I mean, I think I did answer the question, but I got more to say. But go ahead. Take it away.
Do you have
baby.
more to say? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was only the warm up.
Does it ever get boring?
That was the warm-up without the
Weird
warm-up,
that our
actually.
daughter is right here, and we're gonna.
Oh, is she?
talk about-
Oh, hi.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's up, bro?
Go
Are you
put
good?
those headphones on.
Please put
go
them all the way
in.
on. Turn them up full blast.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so no, actually, I think it's gotten better.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Something about being more intimate, getting deeper with your spouse just makes it more, I don't know, it makes it more good. It makes it more rich. It makes it more, I don't know, it feels weird talking about this.
It's okay. Next question.
No,
No.
no.
And it's like, it's not even about like no crazy freaky stuff. Okay.
Yeah,
it's not even about
Not
all
even
that.
on a
That's
perverted
not
level.
Yeah. We don't need all that. But
Mhm.
I think what helps us a lot is our relationship with God. And that has to do with like the purity aspect of it, right? So we're not like going to any kind of like porno, or we're not going to any kind of like magazines, or we're not going to any of those like spicy books, because I think once we start doing a lot of that, then that takes away from what you have with your spouse, because now you're looking at other women, or you're looking at other men, or you're like envisioning what it would be like to have these kind of sexual relationships with another person. And when you do that, then that starts to kind of taint what you have with your spouse, because now you're like,
then you're kind
you're
of
getting
more
blurred.
dependent. You're dependent on something else to give you that pleasure, where that pleasure should be solely sourced from your spouse.
Yeah.
So we haven't dabbled in any of that, but I won't. I mean, I've even asked you before, because a lot of our Christian friends, they love the toys. They love the toys, and that's great for them. And I've asked you before, like, do you want a toy? Like, are you good? Do you want a toy, or are you good? And
I have enough toys in this house. We got Simmy's trucks. We got the girls' Barbie dolls. We got there's enough toys in the house.
So we don't do anything like that to keep it spicy, I guess. But we definitely have grown intimately deeper throughout the years, and I think that just goes to show, like, one of the things that I know that we both practice is that we don't ever deny each other, and I think that gives us like that true gift of like, your body is mine and my body is yours. So like, I don't ever have to like do anything crazy to get you to like want me. You always want me. I always want you. And I think continuing a very intimate relationship throughout the day, like even during challenging times, do it, because it's going to anchor you. Like, you guys you're going to be stronger when you're intimate. It's going to overflow into your love outside of the bedroom. And I think during those challenging times, that's the times where people like kind of pull back. But like, we just keep going, keep it routine, keep it like regular, so that in the bed, it's like, it's you and him time.
Yeah, and they said do it even when you don't want to do it, because you just might like it anyways, you know? So it's like, just do it. Just do it. And even if you have to, some people like the spontaneous sex, that's great. Some people need to schedule it, that's great as well. Whatever it takes to have that intimacy with your spouse on that level, which I like to call the belly button, you know, make sure y'all tapping in. Get your lint into her lint, and then, you know, belly button lint, but also like, never mind. All right, next question. Okay, all right, keeping it moving. What are we doing? What keeps your love alive after having kids and being together so long?
God, truly, simple as that.
Okay, because I said in the last question, I don't want to like over God people, but I mean, at the end of the day, like God is God. Like
God is just,
God
he goes hard.
He be doing
like,
God things.
in our lives,
you know what I'm saying?
You know? Yeah. But then I would also second that by saying that to never stop prioritizing each other.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we learned prior to kids.
I like what you did there.
From
Prioritizing prior to.
prior to.
It was a bar. You didn't even know you dropped it.
Yeah, the BC days. The
Come on now. See? Listen.
Those kill me. Okay?
Listen.
The BC days, the before children days. Some of our
Where'd you get that from?
elders- Just now in my head. I don't know.
Wow. That was
But
good.
before, like when we were, friends with older people that had, like most of the people that I worked with, had kids already. They would always talk about how like, oh, that's so sweet. You guys are so young and you can go on dates and things like that. And I was like, well, I never want to stop doing that. I never want to stop like doing these fun trips with you and things like that. So we went into having kids thinking like, okay, we need to prioritize each other. We need to make sure that we go on dates. We need to make sure that we go on trips. That we need to make sure that we have very intentional us time and not let the kids get in front of the marriage.
Yeah.
And so I think doing that really helped us keep the love alive when kids got in the mix, because it can blur your priorities. I mean, they need us.
Yeah.
So like, it's not like, we need each other too, but like they need us to live. And so it's easy for us to just be like, oh, well, I got to give them my time and we'll have our time later. But by that later time, like, I don't even know you anymore. Like, you don't want to be strangers when you're 50 and you're supposed to like do everything together and your kids are out of the house. Like, you got to continue to build that love. And by doing so, you're still dedicating each other throughout the seasons.
Yeah. And I'll just touch on that, the God aspect of it, because it makes me think of the pyramid. And I think we used this example before. You guys probably heard it in church or somewhere, but it's that pyramid where it's like, you have your spouse, it's the wife down here, the husband down here, and then God's at the top, right? So we have like that triangle. And as you guys are both seeking God, like, because that's the goal, as you see, like once you guys start to go closer to God, you guys are also drawing closer together. So it's having that individual relationship with God, but also having that relationship with God together that kind of helps the unity and helps you guys be on the same page. So I think a lot of that plays a role in our marriage because we have that alignment and we know, we have the foundational values that are the same, and we're just on the same page with a lot of the things, and as I said, we're not perfect when it comes to that, but I think, when you call me out or when I call you out or even when the word calls us out, that's where we're like, we can get realigned and we know that we have something to stand on that's going to help us to get back on track whenever we fall off. So that kind of helps us to make sure that we have a clear mind for each other and making sure that, we're keeping each other at the forefront. And God says it, the same way that he treats the church is the same way I should be treating my spouse, and that's doing everything up to giving my life for you. So that's being selfless. That's being, putting my pride to the side. That's whatever is in the way of me getting to you needs to move out of the way. And I need to make sure that I'm doing everything we can to keep our relationship fresh. So yeah, good stuff there.
Oh yeah.
All right. Next question.
These are like deep questions.
Yeah. All right.
We're gonna like, where do you shop?
You want to go there? I mean, that was one of the questions.
Okay.
Where do you shop, babe?
Where is it? Oh gosh. Well, lately nowhere, because I've been really trying to like.
All right, the question actually
time.
was where is your fashion inspiration coming from? Because every time I post a video of you or a picture of you, or so, there's at least 3 or 4 people that's like, send me the link. Where did she get them pants from? Where's that shirt? How does it fit her body? Because she's only 4 foot. Like,
4
so
foot
like
is crazy.
that's kind of wild.
Don't disrespect those extra 11 inches.
Yo, 11 inches go a long way. Yes. Okay. So we don't want to forget about the 11 inches. But yes, so where's your inspiration come from, babe?
Man, Pinterest.
Pinterest,
and I love watching YouTube videos of like interior designers and stuff, and they always interior design these like celebrities and things like that. These weird artists, and I just like love picking up on their weird, quirky styles, and like I can implement like that part. Let me try that. But I've always loved fashion when I got to college, and I think it's because I went all my high school years like wearing kind of the same thing.
Like the same thing with the headgear, just like
as
one outfit.
Overalls, a big tee and like little shorts.
Hey, the overalls are swaggy now. You know what I'm saying?
I just got you a pair.
Yeah. I wore it with no shirt under. No.
It's a new level unlocked of.
Listen, Farmer Matthew's coming through. Y'all get ready.
Can't wait for Harvey's harvest. But yeah, so I think like getting my inspiration from others that are not around me. I know that I dress so different from people who live here in our little small town. But I love it because it's like a self-reflection of me and like how I feel. So like I feel good in these fun different outfits. I love not being the same as other people. Like I love not looking like a trend. I like to look a little bit different.
I mean, that's what we're called to do as children of God. We're supposed to be different. You know, we're not supposed to be in the world.
I did feel convicted though of like shopping and buying clothes and like obviously being concerned of my outward appearance. So I pulled back a lot, but I think still it's in me to like for fashion and for to like look good. And I think that it also helps open conversations for people is what I've like come to is like I still want to be presentable where someone wants to talk to me. Someone wants to speak to me or notices like, oh, your children or your husband or whatever. And that can spark a conversation where I can be like, you know, because I get asked this a lot where they're like, how do you have time to like get ready when you have 3 kids? Like, but I've mastered like a 2-minute makeup routine and I've been able to like capitalize on my
that reel is coming soon. Y'all stay tuned for the 2-minute makeup routine.
Like probably less, like 30 seconds. And then I think that's been helpful for me to just be like, okay, I'm not sitting in front of a mirror for hours, but I do care a lot about how I present myself for me, how I feel, and for you. And it just makes me feel good to like look good. Like if you're in a slump, like just go throw some lipstick on, some blush, or put a cute outfit on. Sometimes I'll randomly wear like a really nice dress. Like the other morning, your sister came over at like 10 a.m. and I was in like this really nice dress. And she's like, why are you so dressed up? I'm like, I just felt like it. I just felt like wearing this dress today because it makes me feel good. So I think that was not even a question, but we went there.
No, it was a question. It was a question. The specific question was, where do you primarily shop for clothes and will you style me? And then another person said, where do you get your fashion inspo? So Dana will drop all the links to her. Okay. No?
Yeah. Coming soon. I do have a reel because I did do a shopping haul for new pants because I needed some new pants. And I found all these great petite pants at Gap and Abercrombie and Anthropologie. And they're good quality, so they're going to last me a long time.
That's not even a paid sponsor right there.
You're welcome.
There you go.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
you guys are welcome. There you go. All right. The next question was, do your children argue? And they said, if not, how do you do this? Well, you don't have to worry about the second part of that question because they argue all the time, just like we argue all the time. We're just a house of arguers. That's just what we.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're terrible though, because
they're not the worst. But
no, I think
yeah.
I hear people give us comments a lot where they're just like, "Oh my gosh, your kids play so well together."
Yeah, they're a lot better in public than they are in private.
True. That's not true. They're great. Like yesterday, they played together all day.
They did well.
We were busy doing other things, and they were just like keeping each other occupied, which is why I love this stage where they're all at because they all love each other right now. So they do argue, but I actually just read this book called Siblings Without Rivalry. And the main reason why I started reading this book is because, which I didn't tell you, but is because you came from a family of 3 and I see rivalry with all 3 of you. With my brother and I.
Really? Do you want to talk more about that?
There was like.
Or do I need to bring my siblings in so we can get into it
specifically.
together? We'll hash this out on a podcast.
But no, it's not necessarily rivalry between each other. It was more so created from parents. And that's kind of why I wanted to read that book because I don't want to cultivate our children to have rivals between each other because we have like favoritism or we show more appreciation to one or the other. Because I noticed that we do that. We do that because Pia is 3 years older than Penelope. So she just like knows better, we assume. So we're just like, oh, Pia, just give that toy to Pen. Like, just stop arguing it, give it to Pen. Or when Pen and Simmy are arguing or fighting over it, we're just like, well, Simmy's the baby. Like, just give the toy to Simmy, you know? And so we so easily just like, oh, stop it right here. I don't want to deal with it. Like, just here, I'm going to take it away. But that causes a lot of emotional devaluation where they're just like, they don't feel heard. They don't feel seen. They feel like they're developing these rivals because of how we respond to arguments. They're developing like this, oh my gosh, well, growing up, like I never got favorited. Like they favorited Simmy the baby because he's the baby and he always got what he wanted. He would just scream and then our parents would just succumb and just give him whatever he wanted. Like I don't want the rivalry to grow and stem from that between each other. And then kind of the same thing where when it comes to like schooling, like Pia is like so smart, just so smart. And so we always make comments about that in front of her siblings. And so then I don't know how that's going to make them feel. So then
that means they need to step their game up. Okay. That's how it should make them feel.
That's what we think we should, but we have to make sure that we're also like being sensitive and have empathy for them and their own individual seasons. So one of the things that I learned from that book is to let them problem solve on their own, which they're fully capable of doing. And we've been able to do that. Like I kind of told you that just this week, but I've been doing it with them for a couple of weeks, just watching how they would respond to each other. So like there's been times where they're arguing and fighting and I can hear it, but I don't intervene. I don't step in. And then they'll eventually resolve it, like on their own. They'll figure it out. And that's the goal. We want them to conflict. We want them to problem solve all their conflicts on their own instead of coming to a source to like justify it, to fix it. And so that's one of the things that I've been like trying to practice. And then when they come to me for foolishness and they're like Pia called me, a bad name or whatever, which like I've been there. One time she called her dirty dirt hands and I couldn't stop laughing.
That cuts the soul right there.
Dirty dirt hands because she had Oreos on her fingers or cookies on her fingers or something. And I had to validate her emotions, even though it was like, you want to just say like, that's not a bad name. Like, get over it. You want to say like, girl, that's dumb. Like, don't be upset about it. But she was like literally crying, like bawling tears. So I'm like, gosh, that's so, I don't want to give her I don't want to give Pia like the blame, but I want to validate her feelings. Like, oh, that made you feel really sad, huh? Or if Simmy hit her, I'm like, oh man, and she's like throwing things. I'm like, oh, he really made you angry, right? I'm using Pen because she's our most emotional child. That's fair. But I'm like, oh, that really made you feel this way. Because sometimes all they need is to be heard. Like they just need you to validate their feelings. And literally almost right after I validate those feelings, she's like, yeah, I did. But I'm going to go play somewhere else now. Like, problem solved. So a lot of the times, like we're cultivating more problems and more arguments with them by the way we respond to them. And so we really have to like make sure that we're not creating these little rivalries so that we can have better relationships. And I love where they're at. I love where they're at right now. They argue over like little tiny stuff, but nothing where they're like fighting each other, calling each other names, and then nothing longer than like a 45-second argument, So it feels good in this space right now, but our kids definitely argue still because who doesn't, right?
Yeah, we're humans.
We're humans.
And
we're
then
all
especially
flawed.
kids, they come out of the womb and, one of the first words they learn is like mine or me.
Yeah.
Like, it's everything is about them.
Yeah.
So it's when they start having siblings around them where the attention starts to shift a little bit. It's like, oh, I have to start worrying about other kids too. It's like now you're fighting over toys and you're fighting over attention and, that causes tension, so
one of the things that was also in the book, which I was like, oh, our kid, one of our kids did this, but
you don't say no names.
writing out how they feel. So I died when I read this letter. It was so cute. It was so funny. It also brought me tears of like happy tears. But Pia wrote this letter to Penelope asking for forgiveness. And I was like, girl, how old are you?
Child of God.
She asked for forgiveness for like sometimes being not for anything like that just happened, but like she like actually audited like how she can be a better sister. But she's like, sorry for being a mean sister to you sometimes. I'm so sorry please forgive me for not playing with you when you want to. Like, just all these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I need this, like, daily repentance as well. Like, it was beautiful. I loved it. And so she also wrote a letter of all the things that Penelope did to her that day that made her feel really mad. And she didn't take it out on Penelope. She just wrote it all down. And that, I think, helped process her emotions. And so that's like a good practice to try to get people to do, which she just kind of like did that on her own. I did not tell her to do that. So I was like, we're going to keep doing this.
Yeah, you're like, I need to start doing that. Like, the
I
kids
need to write it
kids
down.
be teaching us some things, man.
You know?
Yeah, y'all, you guys can learn some very good lessons from your children.
Yeah, it's
all
also
right?
a sanctification process.
Yes.
How we respond to our children. Like, let's look at that and see, like, what is God trying to get out of us too? Because my quick to anger, that's something he's trying to sanctify me through my children.
And this is actually a follow-up question when it comes to the kind of parenting and family life. The question was, how does disciplining look in a Christian point of view? Do you believe in hitting, timeouts, etc.?
Timeouts? No, do not believe in timeouts.
Yeah, I mean, I was spanked left and right as a kid, so yeah, I still love you. It made me who I am today. But you're right, if kids were spanked today the way I was spanked back in the day, yo, child services be pulling up at everybody's crib. And I mean, the island parents, they don't play, bro. They don't play. Anything they can find, belt, pot, pan, yo, they come and lick up your backside. My God, what I go on? Me run for my life. Yo. I was like, no.
I'm sure you got spanked a lot.
What does that mean?
You were
Go ahead, say it with your chest.
you're a rude boy.
Rude boy. Listen, like, that's how life was back in the day. But no, we don't really. I think because I was still trying to figure out parenting in our early stages, I used to spank, and actually I don't remember spanking Pia a lot. I think we spanked her once. I think I spanked her once, but then she was
really
such an
don't.
angel that I didn't do it anymore. Penelope, it came back, and there was a lot more spankings in the early ages. But then, like, it came. I think I talked about this on a podcast before as well, but I think it was when she was about 3 years old, and she did something that she knew was wrong. And I went into the room just to kind of have a conversation with her, talk about it, work through it, soft parenting, all the good stuff. And when I went in there, she was in her bed, and I came in the room and I got close to her, and she like curled up in the corner of her bed, like she was like afraid of me, like she was expecting me to lash out on her. And and at that moment it hit me, and I was like, I don't want this to be the response that my kids have to me when they do something wrong.
Yeah.
Because if this is what we're doing, then they're going to be afraid or hesitant to tell us when they do wrong.
Yeah.
They're not going to have an open conversation with us. They're not going to be transparent. And that comes to hiding and harboring a lot of the sins and things that we don't want to happen down the road. Yeah. So I ever since then, I've changed my parenting style a lot. And yeah, I mean, we do some timeouts. Sometimes I send Simi to his room because sometimes he needs a breather. He needs to like collect his thoughts. And I've been seeing that's been working a lot now.
Don't call it a timeout.
We don't call it timeout. I say, hey, just go to your room. Yeah. And when you calm down, you can come back out. And then he'll like slowly come out and just like.
And he's ready to talk.
And he's ready. And he's like, all right, now talk. Yeah. So it's needing, give him a time.
Yeah, the communication piece is like big for us. I feel like we didn't like go into having kids being like, oh, are we going to spank or are we not going to spank? We're just like, let's just see what these kids do.
I was like, my parents did it to me and I turned out just fine. So I'm going to do it to y'all. But times are a little different now. I don't know.
Yeah, but I will say that when we have a podcast on this too, on like how to parent, right? Like we talked about that.
Oh, sure.
And we talked about discipline and stuff like that. But I do think that when it comes to parenting styles, like it's not good to just pick one and like, because sometimes your child just needs a good lick, honestly, truly.
Well, she said lick.
But
Clearly,
I've been married to you for a long time. But so I feel like there might be a style where you're just like trying to avoid, but maybe your child needs that kind of discipline. And so for us, like with our kids, they've been just really receptive to communication. So like they don't do things in spite of us. I feel like we've been able to like really hone in on that relationship piece where like when they're doing something dishonest, disobedient, or disrespectful, that's when they know they're going to get some kind of punishment, whether that's like us speaking to them, lecturing them, or potentially a spank. But I don't even remember the last time we spanked our kids. I do remember the last time I tried to spank Penelope and I completely missed. And then
she whiffed. I'm like, goof.
So I was like, well, we're not doing that. I'm like, let's just talk.
She probably just watched you like,
You know, oh my gosh, so embarrassing as a parent. Like, you just missed? Like, what? Okay, she's like probably thinking like,
that's how she knew you weren't about that life.
her.
She's like, yeah, you don't really want to spank me, bro. Watch out. Let's talk.
But I think what we try to hone in on is like why their actions, you know, don't vibe in this house pretty much. Like communicating that to them so that they don't feel like, oh, we need to I'm gonna do this bad thing and I'm gonna get spanked and then it's gonna be over.
Yeah.
Like we want them to just understand the relationship that they're breaking and hurting by doing these actions, because that's way more powerful than, which I don't want to talk about it on this podcast because we already talked about it on a previous podcast. But yeah, I think spanking your kids is do what you got to do what you want to do. But honestly, the communication is what you have to do. Like if you're going to spank, do it, couple it with some communication, talk to them about why XYZ is wrong and why this hurts and things like that.
Yeah, I think disciplining by beating should be like a last response.
Yeah.
You know, because this is what's going to keep them out of jail. Like, I think this is what I need to do to really get through to them. But I think that we need to use our words more often.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why a lot of people growing up need therapy, because using their words wasn't something that they did a lot. They didn't know how to communicate. They didn't know how to express their emotions. So I think having a conversation with your child to let them know why you're disciplining them the way you are, why you're upset with them, why you're disappointed in them is very important.
Mm-hmm.
But while you were talking, it came to my mind Proverbs 23:13-14, which lets y'all know, for those of y'all who like spanking, it's not a bad thing. But let me read the verse. I'll let the Bible speak to y'all. You know what I'm saying? It says, "Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you strike with a rod, he will not die. If you strike him with the rod, you will save his soul from Sheol, hell." When they say rod and staff here, they're not necessarily talking about a rod and a staff. But yeah, so if you want to spank them on the butt or sometimes spank them on the wrist, whatever that looks like for your situation, that's just another example of disciplining with a rod and staff. But these are the things that we do just to help them shape character, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that should be a last, for us at least, that's a last response for us. And we rarely ever get there. I don't remember the last time we had to actually spank our children. And you got to remember, like, as far as the age range of your child too, the emotions that they have earlier in their life, they don't know how to respond with their words, or they don't know how to communicate what they're feeling. So a lot of times it may be the screaming, the yelling, the tantrums. So that's the season of life where you need to start trying to cultivate and teach them how to communicate on that level. But sometimes it's as easy as a hug. If you just give them a hug, hold them for a moment, help them to regulate, help their emotions to settle in a little bit to a point where they're able to communicate, because sometimes their emotions are so high where like words can't even come out. And I know our kids at this point where it's like, you know, they go through like, like they're trying to say something, but it just can't come out. So I think we just need to be patient, and love is patient. It's one of the fruits of the spirit. And I think that we need to apply that a lot more in our parenting, which will allow us to be more effective parents.
Yeah. I think about it like how God responds to our disobedience. Yeah. Like if he were to respond how we responded, like would we learn from it? It would just make us like resent God more, probably. Just being like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared of him, and I'm fearing him in the way that you shouldn't fear him. And so when I think about it, like when the kids make me mad or upset with something, do I have a gentle and quiet spirit to approach this, or am I coming at them with like quick anger, you know, and yelling and things like that? So like parenting is just like a good form of how our relationship with God is. So if we can align more with how God would respond to us when we disobey, and give them grace in those seasons because they're learning. But there's definitely stage and levels to that process, which we did talk about on the other podcast. So you really have to use wisdom when it comes to that. Like, don't just be like, oh, I'm gentle parenting. And because I wouldn't say we gentle parent, but just go in saying like, oh, I'm going to do gentle parenting. And then your child is just wilding out. Like, let's, build that character.
I like you said, let's build that. She said,
build that character.
build that character.
Please, let's make some good humans to put out in the world.
Listen, it's the next generation, man. We got to make sure we're doing what we can to give them the backbone and the character they need. So it's good. All right, next question. We got, I think, 3 more questions left. I don't know. You think we got it? What are we looking like on time? We solid? We got an hour, and we just getting warmed up, people. Let's go. Okay, so here we go. Next question. Are you guys able to take, well, I guess, we are able because we've done it, but I guess we'll reframe this question. What does it look like taking vacations with 3 kids? How do we take vacations with 3 kids? I think is what they wanted to ask here. So what does that look like for us?
Madness. I think it's kind of like a muscle practice. So because we do it pretty often, it feels easier for us. So we're not traveling to like crazy places. Like we're not going to Dubai or anything with our kids, but we are doing a lot of domestic travel or like short-term travel to the Caribbean. But I think getting them on like a understanding that this is for them as well, that they need to cooperate with us. And so, I don't know, we have tons of travel tips and hacks and stuff that we post on social media. But I think that's kind of like the only time where we give our kids the tablet, truly, besides doing their hair, is on the airplane. And then they look forward to that. So that helps. So
yeah, I think the biggest burden for us is just the financial burden of it. Like
buying 5 tickets.
Yeah, because now Simi has his own seat. When they turn 2, I think that's when they start getting their own seat. And it was such a waste because I'm like, yo, he's still sitting on our lap. Still sitting on our lap. We got this empty seat. I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Just spent $400 for this round trip.
Yeah.
But I think the financial burden is the biggest part. But as far as like the mental side of it, I think we have a good grasp on that now because of one, we do travel pretty frequently. So they're a little experienced flyers. But for those who don't travel frequently, I think preparing them for travel. And this is a process that it's not something that you can prepare in a week. And what I mean by that is kids are very temporal children, right? Like, so I think you need to make sure that you're doing something that helps them not be overstimulated. Because I think on a flight, you're kind of limited on the things that you can do. It's not like there's a playground on the flight where you can have them run out the energy. But I think it's the training up until the flight where it's like making sure they're not nonstop on their tablets leading up to the flight, because now when you get on the flight, the tablet it's not a treat for them. It's nothing different. It's just it's going to be mundane. And it's going to be something that they're like, okay, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And then doing more activities with them beforehand where it doesn't cause electronics. So those are some things that they can find enjoyment in, that when they do get on a flight, they can do these things that'll keep them occupied. And then that'll help them stimulate a different part of their brain, which helps them kind of be distracted during the flight. So it's something that I think if we're doing a better job at parenting overall when it comes to how we entertain our children and not always relying on technology to do it for us, that'll help us to, be more effective when it comes to flying on planes or being on those buses or being on elevators or just sitting and waiting patiently for the flight to start. Because I've seen some kids go crazy in the airport, but that's just because there wasn't steps taken beforehand to lead up to that point.
Yeah, I will say that we were convicted a couple summers ago where we went to go visit my best friend who they have little babies, and they don't have the screen on ever, like at all. There's no screen, there's no TV, there's no tablets, and we did get pretty comfortable letting our kids use the tablet like throughout the day sometimes, not like crazy, like all day long or have access to anything. They're just like playing little games or learning games. But we felt convicted, like that's because we're lazy. I felt like it was because we were lazy. We were just like, take this tablet to like help us. Mac, can lay down, bud. Lay down.
Yeah, lay down.
We were trying to use... Okay, of course he wants to lay right there.
There we go. All right.
We were using the tablets to kind of like parent for us because we needed some other time to be redeemed. But it's okay for your child to be bored. So we really took away the screens heavily after that trip. And even though I felt like we weren't using it that much, but even just like the TV always being on. The TV was just on. The kids aren't even watching it. It's just on. So we've been making it a habit where the kids the screens are just like, it's a luxury.
Yeah.
And so they look forward to it when we're traveling and stuff like that. So we've been there, and I think it's tough to travel with kids. It's really expensive. I don't know if that was the question, like how do we do it with 3 kids, because it is expensive. But I think planning a trip with all the things like ahead of time really can save you a lot of money, and doing things like with one airline so you can boost the points.
Yeah,
like,
or just staycation it,
yeah,
like you don't have to
staycation it,
fly
yeah.
anywhere. Like we live an hour and
Well,
2
we
hours
also
away
live
from
in a very
Miami, so we could drive there.
vacation-y area.
Yeah, but take a road trip somewhere. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
anything crazy. I think the
yeah,
biggest thing is
growing up,
just
like we camped all the time. Like
Yeah.
that was a vacation for me, and it was a tent and a potty in the woods, like,
that's crazy.
and that was like some of the best times in my life.
That's what I was getting to. It's just about creating those memories, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like for you guys. That could literally be. I remember we set up a tent in the backyard and we did that.
That did not last long.
It wasn't. I mean, Florida's hot. Okay,
It's too
I was sweating. There was mosquitoes. There was flies. There was gnats. I'm
Yeah.
like, let's go back inside. And then we got snakes out there now too. I don't know what's going on out here. But anywho, I think whatever you can do within your price range, your budget, your lifestyle. I think the biggest thing is just creating those memories and spending time with your family, because that's where you're going to be able to help shape your children. Having that one-on-one time and really communicating with them, where you're taking all the distractions out of the way. You're not worrying about getting them ready for school, packing lunches, sporting events, or just like any kind of event period. Like you guys are just taking all that out the way, and it's just you and your children spending that quality time. So do it. Do it. All right.
Vacation.
Let's go. We got 2 questions left, and I'll try to bunch these in one, but let's see. It says, more lighthearted one. It says, how to get started with family influencing.
Oh.
What do you say like that? How to get started? I feel like this is,
Not for the
I mean,
faint
I don't want
of
to say
heart.
this is the new thing, but I mean, I guess it is kind of a new thing, because now you're hearing kids when they go to career day or when they go to school, they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? They're like, I want to be a YouTuber. It's like,
Yeah.
that was never even uttered when I was in school. Like everybody, doctor, firefighter,
Well, 'cause
teacher.
it wasn't a thing.
I know, but now it's a thing. So I guess this is a conversation that needs to be had, and I think people can learn from this. So what do you think? What are your thoughts?
That just irks me a little bit, just because I just don't want that for my children. We fell into it. So that's why it's hard for us to be like, oh, yeah, we desired this and then we worked really hard and this is how we got here. We did work hard. God did give us a clear vision of like this new lifestyle that we were going to live, but we had no idea like where it was going to bring us. And ours just happened organically. So it's hard for me to just like give steps on like, oh, this is how you start it. This is how you get big following. This is how you make money. Because it did happen organically for us. I will say that's probably why we plateaued. Like we haven't grown more, but I feel like it's God sent, because he's sustaining us and we're not getting more and more power from like bigger followings and things like that. But I did help like a couple of friends grow, and it's beautiful to like witness them like take off. So I think on a more personal level, it just takes I wouldn't be able to give like pointers for you to just be like, oh, okay, that you do XYZ and then this is gonna happen. I would have to like see your platform, and I'd see like what you do already. But for us, like I truly believe that the more authentic you are, that's what's going to sell. Because like if people subscribe to you and your family, that's what they're going to buy into. So we're just sharing like our authentic lives. Like I could probably be a little bit more authentic on there by sharing more of me. I don't know. I get caught up sometimes where I'm just like, I don't feel like recording myself. But I think if you can show up creating content consistently and doing it in a way that doesn't interfere with like your children's lives, like our kids do live like a pretty lavish life because they get to go on all these trips with us. We get to go to Disney a lot. We get to do all these fun things. And then they also have their parents home with them all the time. And we get to pick them up from school. We got to go to all the schooling events. So like they do live a different lifestyle, but we have never taken the content part and made it a negative thing for them. So we do everything for fun. If they don't want to be in the camera, they don't want to shoot something, then they're just not going to do it. And then that's it. We're not like bribing them, forcing them, like, do this or else, you're not going to get a TV. Like, we don't do any of that because that's not what I want for them. I want them to live a normal childhood, but we are doing all of these great things for them, but we're doing it by respecting like boundaries and stuff like that. So when people are saying like, oh, I want to do the family influencing and stuff, I'm like, it is not for the faint of heart. It is crossing a lot of boundaries where you're just like, you're forcing like a lot of work into your family. Like, is your husband on board? Like, Matthew was like a natural influencer. So I started it, but he just kind of took over and like made it bigger. And I don't think that I could have done that without him. So it definitely took like both husband and wife to just like, be on board and doing it. And then our kids are just we would just record them in their natural habitat, like in their natural personalities. And then our following love that. And so I think that that's why it doesn't feel forced, and it doesn't feel like we're like, oh, this is the guidebook of how to get into it. We literally just started recording our family and sharing it. And we did it in a way where we wanted to share to help build, to help show like, oh, we can have fun as a Christian family. This is what we do to raise our children in the Word of God. And we wanted to do that in a way where people can see it and see Jesus through us. But we're also like adding fun to it. We're adding practicality, logical, like all the things so that people can learn from it, but then we're also making a living off of it as well. So I did not answer that question. I'm so sorry.
No, I think that was pretty good. I mean, the only thing I guess I would add to that is the find something you love, right? Mm-hmm. Like you said, you want to be authentic in this space. You don't want to start talking about technology if you know absolutely nothing about technology. Or you don't want to start talking about raising kids and then like you don't have any kids. Like it's just things like that. Like finding something that you're passionate about.
Be authentic.
Yeah, if my one of my kids wanted to get into influencing, I would still send them to school. I would say go find out what you're passionate about, go study something, become a professional in that thing, find a career in that thing, and then you can do the influencing on the side. I wouldn't want it to make it your main thing. Yeah, it could be your side hobby, and then when it becomes the main thing, it becomes the main thing. But I don't want you to put all of your marbles into that one specific thing, because what if it doesn't work, right? Yeah. So I would say find out what you like to do, and then once you find out what you like to do, then you can start to kind of branch out and say, hey, this is what I do on my social media. And you can still incorporate your family into that space and it still be like a family thing. But I don't want you to make social media and influencing your main thing, because that this is something that can be here today and gone tomorrow. Literally, and we that's something that we're worried about on a daily basis. But I think a lot of it is us just giving that over to God and saying, hey, God, we're giving this platform to you. So we still use our platform to share, to minister, to shine the light and to be the salt of the earth. Like that's our focus when it comes to our platform. And then we just let God handle the rest. Because like Dana said, like our platform hasn't really grown that much over the last year or so. But for in some way, some shape, some form, God still finds a way to provide. And I think that's because we're putting him first. So
I think for us, we're not influencers. I don't see us influencing anybody, truly. But we do create really good content, I think. We create content, so we call ourselves content creators. And then I think why we also couple that with using this platform to be an ambassador of Jesus, because I don't think we are influencing anyone to do any which way. We're just like showing our lifestyle. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. We're not like, this is the way and the only way except Jesus' way. That's why I can only say like we are influencers of Jesus, but I don't really love that. We're ambassadors of Jesus.
Well, that's good, because the next question was, is it hard to balance the societal pressures of influencing while being obedient to God?
Oof, yeah.
You said it's hard? Yeah, why you say that?
I would say it's hard because when you have a platform, when you have influence, you do have power. And power is scary. Power can develop a lot of pride and a lot of distraction from the true purpose. And so we have to remember to like die to ourselves. We have to remember to come back to him. So we can post something and get all this praise from all these strangers, from all these people, and it can go to our head. And then we think like, oh, I just need that to fulfill me. Like, I just need to post this and share that, and I'm going to receive all this praise. But are we going to go back to the Lord and give him that glory? So we so often fall to our own pride and think that we deserve that glory because, like, I created that content, I came up with that concept, I curated this, or I built this, and it's wonderful, and I'm going to share it with the world, and then they're all going to praise you for it. And so much of that can go to your head. So for you to have that influence and to have that power, it's a little scary because you truly, especially us, God put us in this and clearly told us that this is like where we're going to go, because I did not want to relinquish control of having a 9-to-5 secure job, but he pushed us in here. And so now there's only one reason we're doing it, is for him, giving him the glory, And so I think so often we get this power, we get this influence, and we kind of get it, like, you could get to your head. So you have to remember to like humble yourself and be like, this is not our glory. This is not our doing. This is the Lord. And I think that's one of the reasons why our following has like plateaued, but our income has grown. And the only reason is God. Like, he is showing us in this season that you don't need the fame. You don't need the 1 million followers. You don't need 50,000 huge deals. I will provide for you and I will sustain you abundantly more than what you anticipated and what you thought and what you were worried about, because it is me doing it and not on our own flesh and our own works. And so I think that that's one of the reasons why it can be pretty tough, because fighting your pride is hard.
Yeah.
And not taking that glory for yourself, that's hard.
Yeah. I just think of Matthew 6, where it says, seek first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things, social media, finances, family, friendships, relationships, all these things would be added onto you. Mm-hmm. So it's like the first step is to seek first the kingdom.
Yeah.
And I feel like we do a pretty decent job with that, with social media. Of course, sometimes we do get caught up in the trendy stuff sometimes, but I do think social media has kind of been like an accountability thing for me, because I know that there's people on there that over the years we built relationships with, that we mentor. I have pastors on there that follow me. I have, people of the next generation like, oh, they want to be able to have a family like ours or a marriage like ours. Like, there's a lot of pressure when it comes to that, because you are in the spotlight and people are watching your every move. Now, of course, you can curate it and, show them what you want to show them. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it's like you can only hide for so long. It's like your true self is going to show at some point, and people are going to see that, and they're going to know if you're telling the truth or if you're lying. Yeah. They're going to see your fruits. So I feel like I've loved it in a sense where it's been like an accountability for me, where I'm like, I know that people are watching and that people are learning and growing, and I wanted them to learn and grow in the right direction. So I want to be able to use this platform in a way where I'm helping build people up instead of tearing people down. And it burns me when I see these platforms that are built on the backs of people who are trying to build people, but they tear them down. And I don't want our platform to ever be like that. I want it to be in some platform where people can come to it and say, oh my gosh, like, this is what a godly marriage looks like. This is what a godly family looks like. This is what it looks like to serve. These are, and I hate saying this, but it's coming off this. I want to say these are the benefits of putting God first, but I don't want people to come to God as if he's like an ATM, like, oh God, I did this. Like, now what do I get? But I want you to have the mindset where I'm putting God first, and whatever he decides to give me, he gives me. Mm-hmm. And this just happens to be what he's giving us as a result of that. And even if he takes it away, I'm holding on to everything with an open hand, knowing that if I put him first and he takes it away, he's going to replace it with something better. So that's kind of how I look at our platform. And it's been a blessing to me. It's been a blessing to our family. It's been a blessing to our community. It's been a blessing to the people around us. And, and sometimes I do have the emotions of like, dang, like, why don't all of our close friends or why don't all of our close family like support us in some of these spaces? Mm-hmm. But it's like, it's fine. Maybe it's not for them. You know, maybe it's for a different demographic. Maybe it's for a different community. So not looking at it in just like this small circle, but looking at it in a grander scale of things where, you know, we're not sent just to impact, you know, just the people under our roof, but to impact the world. You know, it says to be the salt of the world, you know, so we need to step out and do that. And I feel like this platform gives us an opportunity, because I'll have people from Africa that's like, yo, what up? You know, and I'm like, Africa, we're reaching people in Africa. So imagine if we could get the gospel out to Africa through our platform, and we're the reason that someone in Africa becomes saved and that they hear about the name of Jesus. So you know, that's kind of been my thought process around it. It wasn't the way I used to look at it initially, but as I've, you know, started to grow in this space and mature spiritually, it's kind of been, you know, where my thought process has gone. So it's been a blessing, and and I've enjoyed the ride.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like, if you're not forcing the social media, and it just comes organically, then I think you can couple that with God and team up with Him to be able to create an income doing it. Because honestly, I did not see that coming. Did not see the income piece coming the way it does. But it's a blessing for us to continue to do that. But at the same time, like, if it's not coming, you can still use your platforms for Jesus. Like, you know, so I don't know.
And that's what we're doing right now. I mean, that platform has given us this opportunity to sit in front of a mic and sit in front of these cameras. And we brought Mario on, where he's been a part of our family. You know, he's our photographer, our producer. He's all the above. So now not only are we being blessed, but now we're able to bless other people. And it's like we're able to how do I want to say this? To give, but then it comes back to us in a sense. Because not only are we, you know, we pay people to do things, but they're helping us to build our brand as well, right? So it's like a big family, it's a big community, and like I just love it. Like I don't think if, you know, we have a cleaner. We don't need someone to come clean our house, but social media has given us the finances that we get to pay for a cleaner, and we get to bless her. I look at it as more of a blessing. You know, someone cuts our lawn. We should cut our own lawn, but now we're able to bless somebody to cut our lawn. It's like just things like that gives us an opportunity to use these finances to bless other people, and I think it's been awesome. So we're thankful that you guys have been here with us, and that you guys have you know, been along the journey, and it's been awesome. How long have you been doing this now? It's been 8 years?
Yeah, since 2017.
2017. And I still feel like we're...
Maybe before that, but pretty much when Pia came.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so right around that time. So that was about 8 years ago. And I feel like we're still kind of scratching the surface. I feel like there's still so much more opportunity in this space. And one of those opportunities was this podcast. So I was like, it was only right, like, that we try to use this platform to share with you guys, for it to be a testimony for us, and for us to just love on you guys and give back to the community any way we can, because God has done so much for us, and we want that to flow through us to you guys as well. So any final words, babe?
Make sure that you're following God's story, and try not to focus too much on your story, because God's story is way, way, way more worth it.
I love that. All right. Well, that's it, man. We did it. We're back.
We're back.
We got one in the books, okay? And I don't know what happened. I thought this was gonna be a quick one, but we went off.
Also, why was it so deep? I thought we were gonna get like some
you
funny questions. Like
they want to know what's going on in your soul. That's what they want to know, okay? And you did a good job of bringing that to life. So thank you guys so much for tapping in again. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. And hey, we're here. We're back, baby. We got a lot more coming your way. You dig? Woo!
Drop in the comments what we should be talking about on the next podcast.
Go ahead,
because
oh yeah, where to find us? See, that's why we got Mario. It's at Home of the Harveys on all platforms.
All platforms. YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, and
you name it.
Is this called Buzzsprout? Spotify.
No,
Spotify.
Apple.
We're at Home of the Harveys.
Oh, it's that's the only place where it's different. It's at Home of the Harveys.
Yes.
On these platforms. So yeah, there you go. There you have it.
No,
man.
it's not. No, it's not.
Here
it's
we go.
At Home with the Harveys.
That's what I meant to say. It's been a while, okay? We're a little rusty.
My gosh.
We're a little rusty.
Wow,
okay?
we don't even know our own name.
Mario, drop the beat. Get us out of here. Get us out of
Home
here.
with the Harveys.
We love you, baby. Woo!